to Retake. I'm Lisa Dwan here with Parker and Tara Mackay. All right, I'm sure you're super excited post NA mini major, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah? It was a lot of exciting things. But
post 3 majors, not just NA.
Okay, yes, exactly. I was like, let's save the NA talk because that's for a future episode, because today we're going to be focusing on LATAM and APAC. We got the top 6 plays from the mini majors, and I'm going to be calling up commentator Dezachu to get his take on everything. So it's going to be a really good episode.
But before we get to the mini major, we're going to go back in time.
Really?
To the first official major. We're going to go back to Paris, a great event, my first major.
Oui, oui.
And we'll take a look at it in this week's archives. As the August major season comes to a close, let's take a look at the one that started it all. The 6 Major Paris was the first of Ubisoft's new yearly August events to shorten the wait between 6 invitationals. The event opened up with 3 days of group play off stage. NiP was the last Brazilian squad standing after Team Liquid, FaZe Clan, and Immortals all bombed out in the groups. APAC's hopes dropped as well, with Element Mystic, Fnatic, and Norarengo all failing to move on. At home in Europe, 4 of the 6 qualified teams ended up making it out of the group stage, with G2 and Vitality topping their respective groups, and Millennium and Secret finishing second in theirs. That would leave just Mocket and Orglis in the dust. For North America, though, things were looking quite bright, with Obey Alliance, Evil Geniuses, and Rogue all making it out alive. With the groups behind them, only 8 teams remained for the live quarterfinals. Home crowd favorites Millennium and Vitality would get tossed out on stage by their EU counterparts. G2 opened up with a shutout to beat Millennium over 2 maps, while Secret stunned the Paris crowd, getting an upset over Vitality. Meanwhile, Rogue narrowly snuck by Obey in back-to-back overtime wins. It would end up being Obey's final event, with the org falling off and the team later getting relegated. The final match of the day would be a slugfest. After losing map 1, NiP sucker-punched Evil Geniuses 6-1 on Consulate. But Canadian and friends bounced right back with their own 6-1 win to punch their ticket to the semifinals. With the start of the semis, the 2 titans of the Rainbow Six world were on track for another collision course. On one side of the bracket, G2 were on a warpath to the finals, crushing Team Secret with relative ease. On the other side, the All-American grudge match was much more intense, with Evil Geniuses scraping together 2 6-4 victories over Rogue. It was the finals that Rainbow Six fans were craving, a rematch of the SI 2018 Grand Finals to cap off the first summer major. It would be Evil Geniuses' chance to redeem themselves after the 6 invitational heartbreak at the hands of Penta. Unfortunately for the North American team, they couldn't stay on their feet for very long in the series. The EG squad tried to stop the hemorrhaging, but G2 was out for blood all series long, winning 6-2, 6-2, 6-2. The win was a key moment in the Penta G2 dynasty, adding to their legacy and solidifying themselves as the world's best team.
EU close to getting the victory, and he goes down! G2 will take the win!
Paris was also the start of a new era for Siege, with the scene exploding with growth since then. While there will be no roaring crowds this year, don't expect the August major action to cool off one bit.
Such great memories, and of course you were there. I wasn't in Paris, but how was it? Was it as amazing as it looked?
It was wonderful. It was
French?
Paris. I didn't speak French, no.
Did you see the panic on
I'm not even gonna try. It's like, oh God, it's like when you're called up to the front of French class, you haven't done your homework, and your teacher's like, say these words.
I am your waiter for this evening. My name is Jean-Luc de la Pierre-Nantes, but you may call me Jean.
Bonjour, Jean.
Oh, look at you. Yeah, no.
No, it was great. I really enjoyed the city. I think that European cities are super cool, man.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed though, obviously from the first major. It's a whole new system now. So to talk about it all, let's head back to the studio to call up commentator Dezachu. All right, I want to give a warm welcome to commentator Dezachu. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you very much, and thanks for having me. Looking forward to this.
Oh, of course, of course. We're so excited to talk to you, get your insight on everything that's going on. But I really want to get to know you better, and I think the first thing we got to ask is, Dezachu, what is the origin story behind that name?
I actually changed my bio on Twitter like this morning to explain where the name comes from. Basically, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Pokemon Yellow, like the game. And I used to go like everywhere with it. It was inseparable. Always had my Game Boy with me. And until the age of like 12 or 13, I just used to always have Pokemon Yellow with me. And the name just kind of came as a joke once out of one of my dad's friends. He was just like, oh, it's like Desert Chew as a joke. And I was like, that is a great name. And it's just stuck ever since. So here we are, what, 16 years later? Never leaves.
You're in a very interesting spot because looking at your career, you've actually have a lot of experience in a lot of different esports titles. I know like League of Legends is in there. I think in your bio, is it like Arena of Valor is in there? Like, tell me what it's like to work in so many different esports and gaming titles. Exhausting,
being dead real. I mean, to be fair, I never really did end like multiple games at once. They were always kind of sequentially one after the other, so it wasn't like world ending to do. But the constant fear of like jumping into a new game and being the newbie on the block and having to prove yourself again after you just got comfortable in the last game was quite exhausting after a while. And I got asked probably 9 months ago, they were like, you know, are you staying in Siege? And I was like, truthfully, I'm not moving again. Like learning a new game from scratch is just far too much hassle. So pick the deepest game you can, go for Siege and just learn it to the nth degree. That's the way to go. So looking at the results of, you know, LATAM and APAC, would you say you're surprised at all, or is this something that, you know, you predicted? Oh man, no one predicted this. I think coming into it, everyone was like, oh, Team 1 sat in first place, like dominated the season. There's no way like they go out in the first round. And then they lose both of their first best of threes and a flat out. Liquid, who were in second place, were then next to go out. Then you had, I think, NIP and FaZe sat in third and fourth. And it was only NIP winning at the very end that kind of stopped the normal kind of season flip upside down in terms of end results coming true, because NIP beat them in the grand final. But no, I think anyone who sits there and said to you, oh, I knew this was going to happen, tell them to get lost. They are clearly lying because no one predicted this being a thing. Was there a particular player that maybe stood out to you or really impressed you? It's so hard to pick a player out of this region that isn't a god. Like, there's so many good players there. Probably Muzi's the one that sticks out the most. Top 3? I don't know. Probably Muzi, Pala from Team Liquid, and I want to say it's between Nesk and Pino for third. I don't know, but those two were also really, really good. It's exactly the same as what we saw at them at previous tournaments, to be fair, though. The region's just stacked with talent. I think everyone kind of writes LATAM off as being hyper-aggressive and a little bit crazy, but it's because they are that good that they can play that crazy. You know, I feel like that's the main conversation people have when they compare regions, right? And so from your perspective, you know, you spend so many hours watching these regions. Do you actually feel like there is a distinct skill gap between the regions? And how would you describe the play style differences? I wouldn't go as far as saying skill gap. I think there are plenty of capable fraggers. I mean, even in South Asia, a region that we have literally never seen on a broadcast before, when they played in the APAC Major last week, we saw a couple of players from that region being absolutely incredible. I'll never forget a player called EX7 for as long as I live. Dude just seemed to click on every single head that came into his sightline. He was insane. Where I think the other regions lack, and I think where you could probably put, you know, APAC is lower, then maybe LATAM. I don't know. It's hard to put LATAM in anywhere, really. Then maybe LATAM, then maybe NAEU. Probably those 3 regions all fighting in those top 3 spots now. The big difference you seem to get is team play, communication, coordination coming into rounds, because more often than not, what you get inside of South Asia was players just running around and killing each other for the fun of it, and no one could seem to stop them. Whereas if you had that try and happen in NA or in EU, I guarantee you teams would shut that down before it even got started, because they've got all this coordination behind them. So I think playstyles come down to more on development of regions. It's more on hunting down the roamers. It's more on catching those out that are trying to cause trouble inside some regions, and even in as much as the grand final between Giants and... how on earth am I forgetting the name already? Between Giants and C9 in APAC, sorry, in APAC North. Even between those two teams there were so many cases of missed bits of information just leading to rounds being over before they even got started. That those are the kind of things that you'll see, I think, in the newer regions that is really going to improve over the coming year or so. I feel like at every international event, when you have all these regions coming together, it seems like, you know, the safe bet is always either NA or EU, and LATAM and APAC are kind of like the underdogs. But last year, like the earlier this year, technically, at the Six Invitational, you saw like them put up really good, like APAC and LATAM put up really good performances. So for the upcoming major, when all the regions are coming together, how do you think the competition will play out? I think when looking at the last couple of years from SI, you saw what Norengo last year, and then we had Fnatic this year. They were kind of surprising everyone. Maybe didn't have the strongest run-ins that they probably could have had, and did get pretty far through as a result, but still can't take away a good performance from some of their players, right? You then look at LATAM, EU, and NA, and although at this stage it'd be so easy to sit there and say, I don't know, it'd be easy to say, well, really, NA and EU at the top and then LATAM. I don't think it's that clear-cut anymore. Like, LATAM looked terrifying. There's a reason why NIP were in the grand final, right? They were a few rounds away from winning the whole thing 3-0 against SSG, and then the reverse sweep came through. So it's really hard to write anyone off. Like, teams are always surprising each other. And I don't think we still, to this day, really have a go-to dominant region that destroys everyone else. It just isn't a thing.
What would your ideal finals be?
My ideal finals. I think I had G2 versus Rogue down. I did a tweet a few days ago with the bracket in and what I think is going to happen. And I'm known as a bit of a witch doctor in EU. Like, I always curse things. Whenever I predict a team to win, they always lose. But I put it down as Rogue would face G2 in the upper bracket final, and Rogue would lose, go down to the lower bracket. They'd then come down from the lower bracket versus BDS and beat G2 in the grand final. So personally, I'm riding an awful lot on Rogue taking the whole thing.
Good luck, Rogue. You heard it himself. He said he has a curse on himself. But hopefully that run will come true, because that would be an insane run in the major. But of course, you know, we're out of time here. So thank you so much for giving us your insight. And we'll see if what you said came true at the EU major.
We'll see how cursed I am, hey? Thank you very much.
With the APAC and LATAM majors all polished off, we've got the best of both worlds this week. After the way he played, it's no surprise that Muzi's first up on the six-pack. The NIP star went all out in the major, pulling off some pretty amazing plays on his way to winning the championship.
To really cause a massacre off the back of his rotation. He's on the roam, the backstabber himself, but will his blade be shot? Muzi with a flick, the headshot onto live, beheading him and potentially stunning the competition. It's a 2 versus 2. Psycho alongside Muzi. Psycho's down as he's going to be cleaned up. Ion on the orb will find a flick to keep them into the game. Muzi's got to clutch it. 1v1 to decide whether or not NIP will win on Coastline or if we are going to overtime. 13 frags. Will he get himself to 14? Throws out his utility. Dancing his way back across. He's got to recover that diffuser, and he will have to plant immediately. You have no time to waste. If the peak comes out from Mav, he can end it. Ideally, he needs to stick this. If he comes off Tim, he is lost, but he goes for the bait play! Muzi swings wide. I tell you what, Tim, he is going to fake. The Mad Lad's done it. As Ash, he'll swing out, pick him off, and shut down the map, taking it 2-0 so far in the grand final. He might be a skilled player, Tim, but that is not normally. That is very, very insane.
Giants Gaming may not have taken the APAC title this stage, but they sure lost with style. Staring down a 3-man deficit, Ysera and Speakeasy clawed back this round 1 kill at a time.
Hysterix is underneath, waiting for a big possibility of a roam and a close down, but with a minute on and you can see the activity of the drones still around kitchen, still around the first floor, they aren't letting him slip away just yet. They're not making the same mistakes, and well, that's how they capitalize. Sweet Black held the roam and held it for as long as possible, probably the longest that Ash has ever held the roam. But against Hysterix, you can't be too careful. Ysera and Speakeasy mind one apiece and put some semblance of hope back into the hands of this, but with the utility again stopping and stemming this flow into the site, things are starting to look a little bit shaky for Cloud9.
Herbert's probably spent the last 90 seconds or so running around outside, getting up on the rappel, coming back down again, hasn't really had an impact here, and the loss of that window now means that C9 are in a spot where they can finally go for a plant. They've got themselves inside of the site, but it's the fact that it's a 2 versus 2. You're against the C4, they can use it if they want to, they don't even need to, they don't even know where Giants are. Giants take the round away despite it looking so good for Cloud9 for the majority of it.
This next clip is an instant Alt F4 if someone hits this in ranked. Looking to stop the bleeding against Team Liquid, Pino casually hits shots worthy of a Battle Eye report.
Not even about the bigger picture of the round. It just feels like they're trying to prove a point of who's the more dominant team with the peaks and pushes we've seen so far. It's been incredible. It feels like all of these players have had a long day down at Spoons and they've come out windmilling like an Englishman looking for a scrap. But talking of a scrap, Pino, the Punisher himself, poised for perfection as they all run in. They had an appointment with the doc, and he thought he'd treat all of his patients at once. Through the smoke, he busts open their lips.
You're about to see one of the wildest rounds in the entire APAC Major. Onigiri blasts through the Giants' defense with only seconds left. But Hysterics isn't about to let that fly.
Held there towards long as they make sure nobody swings around close, but Jordan is the first to get blood. Scatman goes down through the open breach, and that's going to put a big hole into the hold that they otherwise had here. Hysterics finds another, with DCH meeting the same fate as Habana on the opposite side. Monty's had to rotate round, battles a shield, but there goes Jordan, and there is Kaid, who tries to double down and apply some reverse pressure. Hysterics gets Nay on the side, but Onigiri finds Ysera. Again, blow for blow, step for step, and almost the backpack of a very big man in the close corner. They're looking for something. They find one, they find two. They almost find all of them. But there is the diffuser, there is Monty, there is a knife fight. And there is an unusual end to an explosive round.
This play from Moringa is clean, and not just because he pulls it off in the shower. Pinned down in the upstairs bathroom on Clubhouse, Moringa wins the 1v3 against Nip with ease.
Not yet been dealt with, goes in and gets the Kaid 3 versus 1 now. And this is all going to NIP. They're going to guarantee themselves the draw at this rate. Moringa gets Kamikaze, that's Diffuser on the ground, but he's going to get pinned down by the Monty. He gets one. Surely he can't do this. 1 versus 3. Julio versus Moringa. He needs to pick that Diffuser up and look at playing it. He's only got 15 seconds. He knows exactly where the man is, but it is automatic versus shotgun, and shotgun will win out at the short range. Moringa 1v3. How about that for Team Liquid? Just going right to the brink and then reeling it back in.
We saved one of the best plays from APAC for last. Anaton of Cyclops Gaming goes absolutely ballistic and wipes out Guts Gaming for the ace.
Anaton, however, is on the brink of a jump out. There he goes, jumping out. Will be able to potentially find a kill. Yes, he will. Will drop the diffuser as well.
He's done this 3
Oh,
round.
How are you allowed to do that? This is absolutely unwarranted as he goes for a jump. Gets it too. Anaton absolutely going crazy. He's going to find a kill onto Ayagator. So now it is down to Anaton. Ace or bust, my friend. Can you do it to keep this round going to your team's side? 15 seconds. This basically means there is a second man for them. Runs around the corner, and of course it's a copy. He knows the man ain't getting baited in. This is his James Bond film, but can he stop the plant going down? Yes. Gets one. It's a quadra kill. One left. Going for the plant, and they know the time is out. There's 4 seconds to go. Will he have time? Can he win? The head-to-head right here. The plant's going to go down. Swings down. They do the ace in there. That's his show reel. James Bond is his new name. He's coming up big for his team there. Cyclops not to be deterred. 4-0 on the defense.
And those were the top plays from the LATAM and APAC mini-majors. With the NA mini-major all wrapped up, look forward to next week's six-pack.
The European League will close out an exciting month of mini-majors this weekend. Rogue, BDS, G2, and Virtus.pro fought their way to the top of Europe in Stage 1. Rogue had the honor of winning the first European League stage by only a single round win. Both Rogue and BDS finished with 6, 1, and 2 records, while G2 finished 3rd and Virtus.pro finished 4th over Na'Vi. Aces was Rogue's stat leader this season with the highest KD out of the 4 qualified teams and the highest kills per round at 0.93. On top of that, Aces was +6 on entry frags and had the second highest rating in Europe over the first stage. Meanwhile, his teammates Leon and Karzeka, the newest additions to Rogue, both managed to snag positive ratings and KD, with Karzeka ultimately performing better between the two. Rogue will have to go through Virtus.pro's all-Russian roster in the semi-finals. Pasha is the alpha bear on Virtus.pro, finishing Stage 1 with a +18 KD, a 1.12 rating, and a 0.91 KPR. Meanwhile, Rask has been dominant for VP on entry with a +8 rating, second in all of Europe. Number 2 BDS and number 3 G2 Esports will face off in the second semi-finals. BDS's top performer is no stranger to Retake. We chronicled Bride's success earlier this stage, and he hasn't slowed down one bit. The French fragger finished off the stage with Europe's highest rating at 1.23 and a +20 kill death score. Bride also had the highest cost this stage at 77%, alongside a whopping 12 diffuser plants. Shaiko is closest to Bride on BDS at a 1.6 rating and 3 clutches this stage. The French squad will have to go through the most unpredictable team in Rainbow Six first. On G2's side of things, Citizen came in halfway through Pro League Season 11 for the squad, with Stage 1 being his first full stretch. The Brit was a monster, hitting a 1.17 rating, plus 21 KD, and plus 7 on entry frags. His teammate, the Finnish Flash Kanto Raketti, was second on the team with a 1.06 rating and a plus 16 KD. With a month hiatus since the final Stage 1 matches in Europe, anything is possible going into the mini-major. Will Rogue or BDS prove who really was the better team by the end of the major? Will G2 be able to hit the ground running against stiff competition? Can Virtus Pro pull off an underdog, or would we say under-bear, run after losing to every other qualified team this stage? One thing's for sure, expect the unexpected at the European August mini-major.
Before we wrap up, we got to do some Six posting, of course. So this is where we react to some of the things the community has been posting. Why don't you start with your element?
I got a good one.
You got a good one?
I got a good one.
All right, let's show it.
I got a good one here. It's going to come from Rock Taylor, courtesy of where else? The Rainbow Six Pro League subreddit, where most things come from. And funny enough,
also babies.
Not true at all. Funny enough, it's called the R6 Pro League Starter Pack Part 2.
Oh.
Because we were talking about the Paris Major earlier. And of course, it's got a couple elements on it that everybody should be very familiar with. First and foremost, it's just a picture of the Twitter bird, because of course, half the subreddit at this point is just Twitter posts. And then of course, the two biggest offenders of that happen to be Fabian as well as Super. I don't think they tweet without it going up on the subreddit. Drama hooked up to an IV. Give it to me, just
right. It's a life source.
Right in my vein, right in my vein. When is the next game? I looked everywhere but cannot find it. Love those people. Type that question into Google. When is Rainbow Six Esports?
I'm guilty of this, I'm not gonna lie.
You'll find, you work on a show.
I know, and I struggle every week.
Liquipedia crossed out says 90% of the questions can be answered by Liquipedia. Also true of streaming. Whenever I stream and people come to me as if I'm Google. Hey, when does Bolo play next? Stop asking.
You're almighty. You know everything.
I am a golden god!
Yeah! It might be missing some things. I don't know if it was in part 1, but people complaining about balance. It's just starter pack. We still got one more thing to react to. It's the teaser for the new operator. And I know there's been more details out, but we still want to react to the very first teaser, so let's take a look.
You should know better than to write me off. Consider this a teaching moment.
Big news is the fact that we're having another Ubisoft character from one of their games join Rainbow Six, which is super hype. Were you a fan of Splinter Cell?
Yeah, it was my first Ubisoft game I ever played.
Oh, so why aren't you more excited about this?
because I want the voice. That's all I care about, literally. Like, it doesn't look like Sam Fisher, but that's fine. He's old.
Yeah.
Also, as excited as I am for it, you know what I don't want?
What?
I don't want just Sam Fisher in other games. You know what I do want? Sam Fisher in his own game.
I was gonna say, a lot of fans are really upset being like, why is he in Rainbow Six when we want a new game? Hit us up on our socials at WatchRetake. We want to hear from you, and we will see you guys next week.